now in the UK and in Australia with the recession, all that kind of stuff.
Festivals that have been running for 10 plus years, just disappearing.
Because Australia is so far away from everywhere else, for international acts, they pay them almost like double, triple. And so what was happening, a lot of the talent buyers were just outbidding everybody. The last 5-6 years, it would be the same people, be all the same acts. And then people just don't want to see them anymore, or they just can't afford it. They can't afford to spend $200-300 on a ticket. Australia should champion Australian artists for the moment to rebuild the scene and then add in the big international players when they can afford it.
All right, Cheat Codes Podcast. We are back and we're in Miami and we're special guest, Night Tales. What's up, boys? Thanks for joining the pod.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How you guys liking Miami so far? Miami Music Week, by the way.
Yeah, love it. We're actually talking about the first time we came to Miami. Well, my first time, at least for musical purposes. And that would have been about 3 years ago.
Okay.
In March, Miami Music Week. It was like really rainy and...
Yeah, there's been a couple of years where just the festival gets rained out. We were actually here last year. We did our own Cheat Codes and Friends party, and it was raining like crazy. It was supposed to be outdoor. We brought everything indoor, and it was like us, Sagala, Bass Jackers, and luckily it was kind of cool that I was inside. It was like more intimate and like packed, and people like huddled up and soaking wet. So sometimes you just got to make the most of it, you know?
Yeah, man,
absolutely.
We love it here. It's very, it reminds, well, me personally, of living in Sydney. It's the same kind of aesthetic, right near the water, super colourful. Everyone's kind of like bougie. So
yeah. Are you guys both from Australia?
I am originally, yeah. I grew up in a place called Erskine Park, which is nearest town would be Penrith. It's about an hour west of the city. So I grew up there all my life. Lived around different parts of Sydney and stuff, but yeah, Sydney, born and bred.
Would you guys say that you're influenced by Rufus at all? Because your music is like very vibey like that. And I don't know if it's like an Australian thing or what.
Not necessarily like directly. I think, Australian would be the right word.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we've always had that kind of comparison. I think when we first started to write, like we wanted to do, it's almost like sing-songer writing over electronic music. So there'll be a verse, there'll be a pre, then there'll be like the hook and stuff. And then the comparisons came out with Rufus, but subconsciously that wasn't a reference point for us. We just want to make music that we feel like. And then now it's starting to evolve a little bit more, like the latest song, Come To Me, that's just come out, like we co-produced that with Wax Motif. And that's more dance focused, where Cam's only doing, a few kind of repeating hooks kind of stuff. But it's nice to be compared to them, because obviously they're fucking amazing. But we're just trying to like develop our own lane and carve what Night Tales is, and it just us be a standalone piece. So
yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting James, the drummer from Rufus, last year. I think it was during Art Basel.
Yeah,
and he said he really loved the music, and then he brought his girlfriend over. He's like, "Hey, this is Cam from Night Tales." She's like, "Oh, we love you so much." So that was really humbling and gratifying to know to come from someone like him.
And just for people that are listening and maybe don't know your guys' project, you do a lot of the singing.
We both do the production.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
But mainly I do the lead vocals, and then when we play live, he does drumming and keys.
Sick.
But as far as like creating the music, we both do the production, both write the songs, both write the lyrics. Yeah, from top to bottom.
I think it makes a lot of sense, especially nowadays. There's so much out there, and some people would say like the DJ world is oversaturated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to come with a different angle to it.
Yeah.
More energy, more engagement, and you guys are out there like you're in front, like constantly like singing, and then
just a point of difference, just a different offering that people can have when they experience our show, whether that be DJing, whether that be singing. We're expanding our live show, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, not being a one-trick pony, having different offerings, having an ABC show, so you're ready to go with whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And also kind of like,
you pull the mic up, but like just a little bit.
Also,
I don't want to miss.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of like we don't want people to come to a show and just listen what they hear on Spotify. Like, do you know what I mean? Because we want them to come with a different experience. So what we do with the show is we do a lot of edits of our original stuff with some twists. There's a lot of like kind of showmanship that goes towards it. So we'll go out to the front, hype up the crowd, come back in again. And as Cam said, like this year we're starting to we've got this whole brand new concept show called Color, which stands for Color, Love, Rhythm, which we're launching in Breakaway Atlanta in May. So, and we'll talk a bit.
I didn't realize this was your guys' shirt. I thought this was like just a brand, and you're like, okay, let's match it.
It looks right, doesn't it?
So is that you guys are gonna tweak with the visuals and the lighting? Is that part of it, or
it's definitely visuals? Yeah, gonna have dancers, gonna have live musicians, gonna have different like brass sections.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is there like a first show that you guys are launching? Like first location?
Breakaway Atlanta. And I think it's because, so last year when we did the song with Shout It Out song with Blondish, just watching the way that she works, and she has her own IP called Abracadabra, and it's something that our new agency UTA said, look, you need to come up with like, you know, a brand new. We need to kind of reinvent Night Tales out to the fans and out to like bookers and sellers, and this color idea just came about very, very quickly and had a lot of momentum on it. And just, again, it's like owning your own IP as well, which we can then take to clubs or festivals and that kind of stuff. But as Cam said, dancers, drum lines, steel drummers, the visuals will change. There's like moving parts, like inflatable stuff that we're doing. So it just becomes, it's almost like, without sounding too corny, because there's still like artistic parts to the show, but it's like a halftime show. It's just like it's full energy. People are like, holy shit, like what's kind of going on? Yeah. And it's really inclusive too. So,
but it has the potential to be limitless. You know, we have every intention of expanding it to a lifestyle brand, potentially a record label. You know, we could go anywhere. We could take it anywhere we want.
That's dope. I love the branding. Sure. I love the logo.
Yeah,
I think you guys nailed it.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought this was. Is there like another brand like Elf or something? I don't know. I was thinking of something like UK brand. That's what I thought it was. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, it makes you remember it.
Yeah, and it's the three primary colors, obviously yellow, red, blue. So you can do a lot with that. You can, you know, merge these two colors. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things you can do with it visually and aesthetically. So we're really excited because it's given us a new lease on creativity. It's not just about getting in the studio and playing the shows live. We can do something else, which is really exciting for us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I got to ask you guys, how did you guys come up with the name?
For Night Tales?
Yes.
Do you know, we get asked this a lot, right? And it's kind of funny. We don't actually know.
Like random word generator.
Yeah, it was kind of like, so basically like, so the project that I had at the beginning was like this faceless project called Third Floor, where it was like more pop emo. And then Cam was in a band called Olympic Airs. But we just wanted to make music for nighttime, like dance music, basically. And again, we like a lot of our stuff at the beginning is storytelling and stuff. So Night Tales, that kind of stuff.
Sick.
I don't know when we actually physically signed off on the name, but it's stuck and it works. So
I love it.
What kind of music did you guys do before this? You said
I had a pop kind of pop emo. Well, I used to wear a mask. She never knew it was me.
Oh, okay,
it was called Third Floor, and it's like super. It's like emo, poppy. Like,
how long did you do that for?
For a couple of years, and I really love it. I've got one song that I love called "Move On," which is probably the best song I've ever produced and written. But yeah, it's just another side of, you know, artists. It's just another side of your personality that you never kind of get to express in the real world. So it's just real kind of emo-ish.
Yeah. I was in. Well, if we go back to high school, I was in a heavy like metalcore type band. I used to love listening to like Parkway Drive and Metallica and just anything metal related. I can't remember the name of the band, but that was full on screaming.
Remember. Come on, don't be shy. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't tell you my high school band name either.
I want to say it was the Fault Line, but that might even be another, you know, metal band out there. And then when I was 21, I was in a band called Olympic Airs, which was like indie dance music with some sort of like electronic leaning type stuff / Talking Heads. And then I have my solo project, Kamaliza. And then that, pretty much takes us up to 2017 when I met Aaron and we started Night Tales. Yeah.
Super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it all come together? Like you guys were already friends and you just decided we got to join forces, like, stronger together. We're both killing it on our own.
Us black boys got to stay together. There's only a few of us.
Yeah, there you go.
Were you guys friends for a while beforehand, or did you guys kind of?
No, so when I was in the band Olympic Airs, he had his solo project, Third Floor, and we had the same domestic booking agent, Paul Sticks. Shout out Paul Sticks. And he said, you guys should write music together. And then Aaron sent me some stuff. And I was like, oh.
Cam went, no, just say it. Just say how it was. He said, nah, it's not.
It
really
needs
me."
work.
Yeah, soft no. But keep sending me stuff because you never know what's going to stick. And to his credit, he did. And then there was one track that he sent. And at the time, we were managed by Matt Denuzzo. He took the song Move You, which is what it ended up being, and sent it off to Majestic Casual. And we did 3 singles with them. And that's it. We've been rocking with each other ever since.
And Matt Denuzzo's from Insomniac. If you don't know him, he's like, he was our first ever manager. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense, like how you guys incorporate all the live stuff and just combining it all together. Where it's like, if you just DJ, you can DJ it in clubs now too, and then like you said, you have your A and B and C shows. Or
we pretty much still like would sing on most of the DJ stuff anyway, because that's just naturally how we, want to perform and communicate to the crowd. So there'll always be that live element, even if it's stripped down just for the mics.
Yeah. And we're finding that whilst people still really enjoy our DJ sets, when we start to sing, whether it's halfway through or towards the end, they're like, whoa, so you don't really see that or expect that from DJ performance.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because you said you guys did 11?
Yeah. So for me, for the first hour, it was just like pure DJ set, and then for the last half an hour, we sung a load of songs, edits. We actually have this Talamanca edit where Cam will sing Latch over the top of it.
Yeah,
and then some of our
classic. We would drop that sometimes. It always works.
yeah.
And so it's kind of like and then as soon as people do that, they just like they go, oh shit, what's going on? And it's just like so unique for them to see people us like up there electronic singing to the song. So
and maybe some of the irony of performing R&B house ballads inside a strip club. You know what I'm saying?
I have a cousin who is like a strip club DJ, and he's always like, oh man, you guys did a remix of Sam Smith Dancing with a Stranger. I always drop it in a strip club. I'm like, okay, now I'm picturing these complete strangers like grinding on each other, and I'm like, okay, promise me no promises, like we don't want a commitment, with my stripper
definitely found
friend.
a home.
There's always like ways to reinterpret records, I guess. So people are looking for love in all the wrong places.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you guys been touring a lot, and like, what's like your wildest tour?
Yeah, tell us some crazy stories you've seen.
Crazy stories.
Crazy tour stories.
But you guys are touring in Australia, and now you guys are more over here?
Yeah, we live here now. Yeah, so we moved from Australia 3 years ago when we kind of signed our I guess our biggest record deal to date, and that was with Ultra, and it's been pretty like we were signed with CAA, and they kind of really helped us in the beginning, kind of hit a platform. But also our parent company, our management company, Breakaway. Shout out Breakaway, Adam Lynn and Zach Rubin.
Yeah, we love those guys.
They just know everyone. So literally, probably it's half shows from the agency and then half shows from just their networks, which has been kind of great. We've been touring quite a lot, and it's obviously the battle of trying to work out what's the best way to tour. Like when you first get on the road and everything else, it's all new and shiny and that kind of stuff, and the rider's there and you're like, oh shit, I need to drink all of it, everything on the rider. I've got to drink everything on the rider. And now it's like, it'll be
you don't have to
hummus
drink everything on the rider.
Yeah, there you go.
Heineken Zero and wellness shots and all
we
that
used to put extra
stuff.
socks on
we put t-shirts on there too.
Yeah,
it's
what's
funny.
on your rider if you don't mind?
Yeah.
This guy loves Sour Patch Kids.
Oh,
we got the hummus, we got the veggie tray, we got what else?
Tito's 1942.
Green drinks, healthy juices or whatever.
Yeah.
Tito's, exactly.
This is like my little hack, because I like to hit the gym, so I'll put like pre-workout, and like maybe protein powder.
Yeah.
So when we're doing like college shows, I'll just pack it up, and then my pantry is like stocked. So
It's got enough from
because I look at these guys, I'm like, you guys want it this time? I'm like, nah.
I got my bio greens and like my like hydration packs and everything just all packed with me. I take it in the morning and stuff. Just got to be smart. Like it's you can't do. Say we're getting older now. Like your body cannot bounce back if you have. It's about 3 or 4 days for me personally to bounce back from.
Yeah, from a hangover.
Yeah.
So I just try and kind of limit it a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more DJs and performers are going sober, or they're just like cutting back because they realize it's like a marathon. It's a long.
It's not sustainable.
And also
you can't
most
do
of
it forever
most of
like
the
that.
alcohol that's on the rider, it's for the crew. Like
Exactly.
help yourselves. Like take it.
You want to make sure everybody's lit and hyped and having a good time around you.
Mhm.
Make it like boiler room vibes if you need to. And then,
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So you guys got some crazy shows coming up?
Yeah. Well, the one we're most excited about is the debut of Color in Atlanta. We're really stoked.
Do you guys have
It's a whole different ball game when there's so many moving parts when you're getting additional people to jump in and help out. We got quoted like some crazy amounts. I guess we can say the amount. We're not going to say who, but we got quoted $27,000 for someone to create choreography for the show. 6 dancers, approximately 6
just
songs.
that's just dancers. That's not like
Wow.
27,000
Yeah.
crazy. Damn.
I was like,
you don't hire like
What?
a Midwest choreographer that's looking for their break. You know,
exactly.
I mean,
find someone off YouTube.
We've got some
it's
contacts
seriously.
now, but it's just like it was really, really crazy. But as Cam said, it's like really excited for that show. A lot of moving parts, and plus we still got to perform ourselves, so we got to make sure that what we do.
Forgot
is
about
right.
that part.
And
You're just hoping everyone else does their
Yeah.
job. Don't ruin it for me.
But we've got we've got our Hawaii debut in May, and that's for Palm Tree Festival.
Yeah.
Is that right? So that'll be pretty excited to do that.
Mhm.
We've got
Hawaii is always.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Love it.
You guys been there yet at all?
Never
First
time.
time.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
our
yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to go.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to go to Australia. We've never been to Australia.
Oh,
We
you got
want
to do
go
it.
so
We just
badly.
got back from Australia tour. We did
Yeah.
Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Newcastle, and it's still the most beautiful place in the
How
world.
do the crowds compare in Australia versus America? Are they
It
pretty
depends
different?
on the city. Yeah, it definitely depends on the city and the venue where you play. You know, there's a lot of sort of ocean surf culture there. A lot of like venues with like kind of soft ticket venues that are going to be cranking, you know, regardless, just because like that might be their only spot near enough the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, a little less highbrow, I would say, compared to say somewhere like Europe. You know,
Highbrow, you know?
Yeah. But it is literally.
Every Australian that I've ever met just like goes so hard.
Uh-huh.
Usually.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
friends
it's so
go,
true.
That's the
crowds
culture
are, like
there.
insane.
That's
Gotcha.
why English. I'm originally from the UK, so that's why English and Aussies just get on so well, like through sport, through banter, through boozing. But yeah, we were just there recently, like on a homecoming tour, and our manager came, Harrison, for the very first time to Australia, and it's literally like it is the most perfect place on earth. It really
I
is.
wanna go so
You
bad.
but
guys go,
slow.
you'll love it.
You know what I'm saying? Like not a lot going on. Very small pond. Might be a few big fish. Whereas America, massive pond, like lots of other fish, but you can still eat. You know what I mean? You can still find your lane, your audience, whatever it is. You know, there's.
I don't know if I'm gonna do one of the, what do they call it, a shoey? I don't know if I can.
I don't know, is that when you pour the beer in the shoe?
Yeah,
I've never done that.
I've never done that. I don't think I will either.
You guys never done it either?
No,
I've
never done
I've
the
never done
shoey.
the shoey.
Yeah.
No. Done other things. But
That's
no
like
shoey.
the lowbrow side of it.
When did you move from the UK?
Yeah, I moved from the UK in 2006, and then we left to go to LA from Sydney in 2022. Is that right?
Okay, sweet. So you're in LA now.
Yeah, February 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But funny story before that. So when we had after Matt Denuzzo left us, we had another manager. Like honestly, can't remember what his name is. It was just pretty bad. But it was only like for maybe a couple of months, and he couldn't kind of take us anywhere. Bless him. And he was just like, "Hey guys, you guys have more contacts than me in the industry. Like I'm just not be able to take you anywhere." And we're like, "Okay, well the right people will
I
find us." at
emailed
the right
my
time.
10 contacts.
Yeah. But literally the next day, Harrison, we had a call. We had a cold email from Harrison, basically saying, "Hey, I'm ex-CA, doing my own thing. Followed you guys since 2018, and would love to have a kind of chat about management." And so that all happened, and this was like mid-pandemic kind of thing. So we were doing a lot of like meetings through Zoom and Skype and all that kind of stuff. And then mid-pandemic, we actually got exemption to leave Australia to go to the States. So our very first like shows overseas were Electric Zoo Festival.
Oh wow!
And we
That's
opened
That's a good
to,
one. That's a big one.
We opened to no one. We were
Open
the
to
first
no one.
act.
Literally,
There was
literally played to no one in the rain.
in the rain. Like, do you know what I mean? But the cameras made it look like we were bossing it. So.
Nowadays, just add the fans and
Yeah,
like
exactly.
post AI.
Yeah. And then it kind of went full circle on the same day. We did another 2 sets of Brooklyn Mirage. So we opened and closed, and then we played at Elsewhere. Is that right? Is that another place? But the first time we met Harrison, because everything was on Zoom, I'm pretty tall, I'm 6'4". And so we're walking up to this cafe to meet him for the first time with this big bottle of Casse Alzor as a gift. And he was sitting there going, what the this guy's fucking huge. Like, it was the first time he's ever seen us. And the moral of that story is we were only meant to be in America for 2 weeks, but the Delta variant broke out in Australia, and literally
You ain't coming back.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So literally
Sure.
an email the next day saying you can't come back.
Yeah.
Like, they closed all the borders, so we were stranded in the States for the best part of 4 months, and in Nashville.
Yeah.
No
Staying
way.
with at Adam's place.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So Nashville became our home.
Mm-hmm.
While we just literally sat and waited until the vaccination rate was high enough that the Aussie government was satisfied that everyone could come home, which I think was
it's not a
80%
bad
of the time.
place to.
It was pretty
be
fun.
locked down.
It was pretty fun. At
Nashville's-
times, it was like,
Nashville's
what am I
nice.
doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some fun moments as well.
You guys live
Yeah.
in LA now, you said?
LA,
We do, yeah.
Sweet.
Marina Del Rey. Big up.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
nice.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
You
at
started in
K-Town.
LA as well.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
K-Town.
nice. So where did you guys live in your LA journey?
I always lived in the valley, but we lived
Yeah.
in Van Nuys for a long time. We lived in where else? Studio City, Valley Village.
Yeah.
Just kind of in that whole area.
Yeah.
Burbank at one point.
Was that a good like ecosystem for music, like that area at that time?
100%. Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
just so many writers there. Even they've always been there ever since we started. Just so many writers,
Okay.
producers, artists, DJs,
It was always kind
managers,
of like
whatever.
the city in America for writing, like songwriters.
Yeah.
and
Got you.
producers and
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah.
And we also came from a songwriting perspective, like you guys said. We came
Uh-huh.
from like the different bands and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
writing songs and guitars and stuff like that. And I think we had a similar mindset where it was like let's write songs. That could be our foot in the door. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Be able to kind
Okay.
of send it around and do
Yeah.
it that way. So that's kind of how we started.
Nice. So what city are you guys originally from?
I'm born and raised in LA.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Native.
Okay.
Calabasas over here.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
I'll never
He's from
leave.
He's from St. Louis, and I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Okay. Wow.
Portland. Portland's nice. We've had a few shows in Portland.
Yeah. Good
You guys
town.
play at 45 East when you go there?
Where did we play in Portland?
It had lots of logs and wood.
Really?
That's
Like a
right.
log Really?
cabin?
It was,
Like
it was,
a-
it was almost, yeah, it was almost like a log cabin. It's a live
Yeah.
live venue. Oh, I can't remember what it's
Was
called.
it called that? I feel like it was called the log cabin or something.
You'd be surprised. That's Portland for you. Yeah.
It's someone's
Yeah.
back garden. Don't just,
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
just be they tell the truth. It's someone's garden.
But really receptive crowd, we're still sort of growing right now, and even back then, of course. And they just seem like open. There's certain cities, Denver, I feel, Seattle's another one.
Yeah, I think with your guys'
Portland.
sound,
Yeah.
there's an Electric Forest.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the
No,
festival for you guys.
Do you know what?
I
It's
think
it's
so.
so funny.
I think
We did Electric Forest, and we had 2 sets. We played on the main stage again, not to very many people, but then we had. And at first, we were kind of like going, "Oh, we don't want to do another set," but we did a DJ set in the forest, right? And it literally went from 20 people to about 200-300 people very, very quickly. And for even to this day now, we get people come up to us, go, "We discovered you in the forest."
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So
Our
it's-
agent was like, "You've got to play this stage. You've got to play this stage." We're like, "We have to."
Fine.
And then we get there, and it was even better than our main stage
yeah,
set.
it was a lot of fun.
The vibes are really, really good.
Yeah. I think with this music thing, sometimes you realize you can't plan everything, you can't
100%.
control everything. You just
Mhm.
have to say yes to a lot of things, especially in the beginning. And then, some of our biggest songs were songs we did not think
Right.
would be the biggest. And I know you guys were talking about before doing more collaborations or kind of
Mhm.
doing more stuff outside of your normal sound and just seeing them where that takes you. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just kind of like these last 3 years in the States being on the road, you just kind of like, people just want to dance. They just want to like, in that time you've got them, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, they just want to like forget everything and just have fun. So for us, it's kind of changed our mind on how we perform, like how we can engage the crowd more, what kind of music that we produce. We still have our like authentic DNA, still trying to tell stories, but at the same time, it's like what can we give them for those like couple of hours that we kind of have them. So it's really changing, and it's exciting. Like just collaborating with all these other artists now and having a new lease of life and a new lease on creativity. Because you know what it's like in the studio when you're bouncing ideas to someone and something you think, I never would have thought of that, but that actually really works. And that's really cool. Like, so doing a lot more of those stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your sound is very like escapism.
Mm-hmm.
I get that vibe.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. This time around, though, as Aaron was saying, I think we're kind of pulling back on some of like the lyrics and stuff. You know, just kind of cutting out the fat, getting straight to the point a little bit more.
Especially as like a global sound, people care more about the melody and
that's
the
right.
emotion that they.
So true.
Yeah.
They
So
were like
true.
Apata. It's like
Yeah.
nobody knew what they were talking about. I was like, is it talking about an apartment? But it's like a Korean game.
Yeah.
A Korean drinking game. It's like,
I think a great example is how, if you watch like European football at like certain clubs, when a goal is scored, they'll all start chanting the Seven Nation Army, like da da da. That's universal, you know,
Right.
across anywhere in the world. You know, that's all you need to know is the melody, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, so doing a lot more of that stuff. We've got some stuff. We have another song with Blondish in the works. We have a song that we're really excited about with Don Bresky and Boy Matthews. So Boy Matthews,
shout out Boy Matthews,
yeah,
homie.
It's our boy. We love him.
He's such a
Yeah.
nice. He's such a nice
he's a
person.
good human.
But even
Talented.
Quinton, Dom is such a lovely life person. Crazy, but in a good way. And
He's
then
like
we
a
have,
mad scientist.
he is. Then we have another song coming up, hopefully with Shalou and another Afro house DJ, I think. So can't say the name yet because it hasn't been signed off. But
sometimes you just gotta let it fly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Risk it for the biscuit.
And what about you guys? What's coming up next for you guys in terms of like shows and music and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on an album right now. We've been putting out singles, and we're going to drop the rest of it in a couple months. So that's been exciting. And we're always just playing shows on the weekends. And we have a couple of shows with Katy Perry coming up. That'll be cool.
Oh, amazing.
Opening
That's
some of her
awesome.
arena shows. That'll be sweet.
Yeah.
And what else are we doing? We're doing an Echo Stage. We're doing Pride at Brooklyn Mirage. That'll be cool. It's like a
Nice.
Pride festival.
Yeah.
And, so just a bunch of random things, kind of all over the place. But yeah, looking forward to it. And I think we're going to be going back to Europe finally.
Yeah.
Which we
Oh,
love
nice.
going. We love Europe.
Where do
so
you
it's
play
been a
when you
while.
go there?
Where are we going this next time? Poland, I think. Or
Norway.
No, I don't think we're doing Poland. No.
Oh, we're not? Okay. Don't ask me. I don't know.
I think it's like Norway,
UK, Amsterdam.
UK, Ibiza, Amsterdam. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
4 or 5
Yeah,
shows.
excited for Ushuaia again. We love Ibiza.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I love
Have you
it.
been out there yet?
When I was like 10 years ago, I would say 2015, 2017 was the last time I went. Yeah, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Haven't
you
played
gotta
any
get back.
shows there yet.
I think
100%.
COVID kind of messed things up a little bit.
for sure.
Yeah, I went to funny story. I went to Ibiza with all my schoolmates because I lived in the UK. So
You say it the right way.
Yeah, we're fucking it up.
Yeah, we're like,
Oh,
No,
you
I
mean
don't know what.
Ibiza,
I don't know what
dude.
is it Ibiza, Ibiza, or Ibiza?
No, you said it the right way.
Okay,
You
It's
said
yeah.
it right.
Ibiza.
But I went there
Ibiza.
when we went there with fake IDs and we were 16 and there's about 10 of us. And at that time, that would have been like 1995 or something like that. And we were by far the youngest on the island wearing these like horrible bright shirts. And everyone was at the time was like, Ibiza wasn't as commercialized as then. So it's just like the older house heads. But I remember like, I didn't really listen to that much house music when I was younger. It'd be like hip hop, rap, all that kind of stuff. And then I went to this club. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but it's a big club called Manumission. And it had like 10,000 people. And I remember Sister Bliss from Faithless was DJing. It was the first time I ever heard house music. And I was like, what is this? And then literally then I bought my like first pair of like Technic 1210s, loads of vinyl. And so you see, I started to learn.
Yeah, you got
dig
to
on
experience
vinyl.
in like the golden era.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Ibiza in the 90s was different,
Yeah,
guys.
it's so different. It's so good. And then like that year, I think it was like 97 when all like the big house tracks came out, like Armor and Hang, You Don't Know Me, Stardust, Pete Heller's Big Love. All those big records came out in like 97, and you can still play them today, and they still hit.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how long you guys been DJing for. If it was when you guys started as Night Tales, or if you've been doing it for a long time as kids, or what?
Similar-ish, where I got a fake ID for my 17th birthday.
You
Courtesy of
can't
my
drink in America until you're 21, so you're
Yeah.
throwing out 16, 17. We're sitting like, we couldn't get in the bar when we were 16.
So in Australia, it's 18. but I was turning 17 that year. So I asked mum for a fake ID. She said yes, reluctantly. I'm like, I really want to do this DJing thing. And at the time I had CDJ 200s. We went halves on CDJ 200s, and we had like the CDs and stuff. My ID got confiscated off me within the space of like 2 days. But then I found this guy on MySpace that looked like me. And I had like long dreads down to here at the time, believe it or not. I'm bald now. Yeah, I was like, bro, let me give you $200. We'll go to the RTA, which is like our DMV sort of thing.
Good. He has like a different hairstyle. He'd be like, I cut my hair. That's why I look different. What do you want from me?
And we went there, got his ID, and I used that for the next year to DJ in the clubs all around Sydney. And so that was 2007. Yeah, 2007, 2008.
Yeah, for me, it was like that time in the 90s. I bought my decks, but I didn't actually start to DJ till I got to Australia. So my first gig at a club called Ruby Rabbits in 2007.
Ruby Rabbits.
And then I worked.
Sounds trippy. Sounds cool.
And then I worked on the other side. So I worked for a big hospitality chain where I was the head of entertainment. So I'd book like festivals, big events, DJs for weekly for like bars, clubs, and restaurants. DJ'd myself, and I did that shit for a long, long time. And it's kind of funny now because obviously like the shows that we all do, like it may be an hour or 2 hours max, whatever it is. But I used to do like 6 to 8 hour like DJ sets. Do you know what I mean? Like on the regular kind
building up the stamina.
Yeah, building up
know?
the stamina
one
for
club,
it,
and then do 2 hours there, then 3 hours next club, then 2 hours there, and you just keep going. You know?
And so it's funny now being on this side of it. So we do have like, you know, before we kind of got signed to the agencies and stuff, we kind of worked on the back end of that, like booking acts. So we understand how that kind of ecosystem works.
You understand like the business side of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as, you know, it's because your brand is your business. So you really need to kind of dial in on the business side of that.
You have to learn to love it. Otherwise, it's just going to be torture all the time. And when you start making a bit of money, you do love it. You're like, okay, I'm going to put more into it. Yeah, you know, so.
It makes sense, like understanding the business side, and there's a lot of like people that get into music and it completely takes them over and they don't know how to handle it.
For sure. I think the biggest trick that the music industry pulled was convincing people that you couldn't make money from music. There's all these stories about, you know, people being struggling artists and it being really hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, it is hard. But there's definitely ways to make some coin for sure. Yeah.
100%.
So you guys have been DJing for a long time, but when did like the production aspect of it come into play for you guys?
Yeah, 16, 17, I got Fruity Loops. At the time, there were no YouTube tutorials. It was just Reddit forums and just general website forums and stuff. So you'd buy equipment, you'd be like, how do I use this thing? But yeah, that became my friend in terms of learning how to structure a song with little tic-tac things, you know.
Yeah.
And then sort of graduated to GarageBand first. You started using GarageBand, and then
apparently Umbrella was made with GarageBand, so
exactly.
That Apple drum loop is the one right at the beginning. And it's funny now, especially like in this day and age, and like Splice, like I'm sure you're the same. You can hear a Splice sample within a minute of hearing a song. Like, yeah, I've heard that. I've gone past that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember the stuff that I used in the UK at the time to kind of make music, but I did migrate. I actually started on Logic too, but at the time, the difference between Logic and Ableton had a really good warp feature, especially when you're trying to like use samples and stuff. And Logic at the time, you had to have like a quantum physics degree to like figure out all this warping stuff. And then, you know, Ableton was pretty much like there, and that's what I kind of use for production. What do you guys use for production?
Ableton now. I started on Pro Tools, which was really hard to make dance music in.
Were you an engineer at some point?
No, I was just
singer-songwriter.
Yeah, singer-songwriter. So it made sense for the acoustic and whatever else. And our first handful of songs were on Pro Tools, though, which was fucking hard to make dance music on. The automation is such a bitch, you know?
Yeah. Even in like my head, those early songs, they felt like they didn't sound right for some reason.
They don't sound electronic enough.
They sounded organic, like even though they were electronic and had
each store does have a little bit of the sound. It has its own flavor, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they do the same thing. Yeah. For sure. I did use Ableton very briefly when I was trying to make mixes for the same reason that you mentioned. The warp feature was really great. I just used to like Diplo at the time was like uploading his mixes onto like MySpace, and I would just like rip snippets from his mixes and then put them with my songs that I want. And like you would still hear his tags in the mixes. You'd be like, Diplo. I had no shame. I was like 17 and I was like, yeah, this is my mix. So yeah, shout out Diplo.
How do I edit this thing out?
It's funny though. Yesterday he was on the same stage with us, so it's weird how things come around full circle.
Was that at 11?
SLS.
No, at the
SLS.
Yeah.
Oh, how was that?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it was
really
fun. It's funny, like when you have especially when you're coming up in this, and then you listen to other artists. Like, you know, we love Be on the Road. We met the Bob Moses guys a few times, and they've been really nice to us. They've been giving us like a lot of advice, like how to be on the road and do stuff and everything else. And there's been a few people like that, like say James from Rufus has been kind of accommodating. Cassian's another good one. Pretty much we've had a pretty good experience with some artists, and then we've had some shit experience with other artists.
Very average experience.
Yeah, which like for me it's kind of like I've never understood it, but then I look at it from like a macro level. Like everyone's different. There's actors and performers who are introverts, like and when they go on stage they come alive and that's kind of thing. And I think we kind of have the balance of having that in our real lives and what we do on stage. So it's just like Blondish, for example. She's amazing person. A little bit introverted and quirky, but it works, and she really knows what she wants in the studio. She's very specific, and again, great business with them. So we've learned just by hanging with her, like how we can kind of pivot and navigate and kind of grow the brand, like just outside of music, lifestyle stuff, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have the mentor aspect to it. You know, we did a podcast with Laidback Luke, and one of the things that he said, he's like, I'm from the Netherlands, and it seems like everyone's a community, but in America, it's like a competition. Like America's cutthroat.
A little bit.
Do you feel that like coming from outside the country?
Do you know? I think I personally think Australia's a little bit like that.
A little cutthroat.
Ooh.
Yeah, because
it's like I want to be the biggest in Australia. Like no one else.
I think
pretty much.
I think it's because like from my personal experiences, like they don't really collaborate much with each other, and a lot of the big artists have to come over to the States to make it. But like, music is global. Like everyone, you're eating from the same pie. I think they're really protective of the state that they've owned in that space. And a lot of like some of the big acts that when we were growing up in Australia still haven't left Australia. Do you know what I mean? They're just like, that's my pie. Yeah. And no one's eating the pie. Do you know what I mean?
And the infrastructure is there, but only for a certain amount of people. And the admin talent isn't quite there. You know, there's like the admin talent, like your managers and your booking agents.
The administration.
I don't see that there, as it's not as prevalent or they're not as talented, in my opinion, as America. Like the pool isn't as big, so you usually have like a handful of people that are again selecting a handful of artists.
Yeah, and again the infrastructure is just not there. That. It's just like now, like in the UK and in Australia, with the recession, all that kind of stuff, or the impact, the global impact of money. A lot of festivals are closing. Some of the big Australia festivals have closed.
Yeah, I've been reading articles about that. Like last year, there was like clubs every week in UK that were closing down, like every single week, and like all these big
great festivals that have been running for 10 plus years, just disappearing.
Yeah.
So how much do you think that? If you don't know, that's fine. But how much do you think that is like economic, just like the economy right now, or how much do you think it's like? New generation, people are addicted to their phones. People are drinking less.
It's
like cultural.
It's this. I think it's all one of the same. But for example, for in Australia at the time, because Australia is so far away from everywhere else, for international acts,
it's so hard for us to come.
They pay them almost like double, triple. And so what was happening? A lot of the talent buyers were just outbidding everybody. And so you saw maybe for the last 5-6 years, it would be the same people. It'd be Rudimental. It will be like, Disclosure. It'd be all the same acts. Dizzy Rascal, all that coming over to play. And then people just don't want to see them anymore, or they just can't afford it, or they can't afford to pay the fees anymore. So it's kind of really hard. And like I say, it's just, people are cash poor now. They can't afford to spend $200-300 on a ticket. So, but again, if you have your standalone shows, like Dom Dollar came out and just completely sold out, and Fisher, those guys. So the market's still there. I just think they need to kind of like, I personally think that Australia should champion Australian artists for the moment to rebuild the scene and then add in the big international players when they can afford it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody that said it's like less of a EDM scene than like it was like maybe like 5
I
or
would
10
say
years ago.
you're starting to see a lot more hip hop and UK hip hop artists appear on the bills. I noticed that Park Live switched over to Listen Now, and I saw a lot more hip hop on the roster, which is a great thing. So I think hip hop and drill and stuff is still doing pretty well.
But bands are kind of like non-existent anymore. Like we were talking about the other day about the Preachers in Australia. They were like a really great, band that were coming up, and you don't kind of see them anymore. But just bands in general, there's not many bands anymore. And Australia, a lot of the festivals was an equal balance of EDM and live music, like bands.
Yeah, and sad to say, but I'm just going to be honest. I think Triple J still has a really
it's the radio station. Yeah, I've heard this before.
Like, monopoly on things.
They control everything.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
And they don't really play EDM as much, or they do?
So I think they have like a sort of weekend like show where it's more like club centric. But that seems to be like a lot of the game plan for a lot of those movers and shakers out there. Get popping on Triple J. But sometimes that can be to your detriment because you get geo-locked, especially with Spotify. So if all your listeners are constantly always Australia, Spotify is just going to keep feeding that Australian audience. It's really hard to break out of that sometimes and get that new audience and start getting in different territories. Yeah.
We always thought it was weird because especially in the beginning, Australia was like always like our number one.
I think it still is our number one.
It still is.
Really?
And we've never played there.
You never played?
It's like every time we try to make something happen, it's like, because the flight is so far, you get the plane tickets are so expensive.
There's not enough shows. They'll be like, we can get you there for like 2 or 3 shows, but then it's like
spread out over like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You gotta pay hotels and shit.
Bummer.
It's really crazy. For us, it's like for me,
you have a place to stay when you go back there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Cut down some of the costs.
Everything derives from the music, but we're having this kind of like it's not epiphany moment, but you see like some big artists that have like millions of streams on a song and these amazing monthly listeners, but they can't sell a show, right? And then you have people like, Patrick Topping, who's a great DJ, has been around the circuit, doesn't really have a hit, but will still sell tickets and shows. And even Blondish, she's an amazing woman.
She's definitely like viral on
but she's
the internet and
stuff.
stuff.
She's in it. So it's just, for us, it's trying to work out what that kind of formula is. It's like making sure that the music we put out is quality, making sure that people come to the show, have a different experience. But the thing that we haven't cracked and would love to ask you guys is like just the social media aspect.
Oh, we're not pros of the social media at all.
But you got a big following. You got a big following on the platform, that kind of stuff. And I truly believe like some of the big ones, like Diplo, for example, right? Because he's so established anyway, he can post himself walking down the street eating a hamburger and it'll go crazy. But for us, as we're still kind of coming up, it's like, we haven't really found
fuck your hamburger.
What is it's like what is it? And it's that battle, because now as we're in this like 3rd or 4th gear of evolving, it's all about the craft and the music, and then you're relying on your management and other people to help you with the social media or having the time to do it.
I agree with you that, when we first started, the focus was let's do a song every month.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make the song as good as possible. We didn't have a budget, so it's like we were mixing it half the time, mastering it, I was doing the artwork.
Yeah.
And that was all we focused on.
We
did Instagram a little bit, but it was like, you just post a picture and put a filter on there. It wasn't any marketing. And then now you're expected to be able to do all this content, like edit videos, like have a catchy caption. And we did the podcast with Leondis yesterday, and he's like, how old is he? 22?
Yeah.
And he's like, he has some viral stuff on TikTok, and he's like, oh no, you don't do it that way. You gotta film yourself and like make it feel organic.
Tricks, dude.
It's crazy. So it's like we're competing with these like young kids that are coming up now, and they just were born into that life. So now it's like running an uphill battle a little bit.
The main thing that cuts through now is just authenticity. Like, it's just people can see through the bullshit or like overly produced videos or things that are completely set up or whatever else. So part part of the reason why we wanted to do like a podcast again was sort of like, okay, how can we just be in front of a camera, chat, be ourselves, and
be
pump it
comfortable.
up, and hopefully be able to use the content, and
Sure.
hopefully it works, So
Hopefully
hopefully it works. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, we never really been like too good on the selling aspect because it doesn't feel authentic. So what we've tried to do now is just like every time we're in the studio or if we're on the road, just have a camera guy there with us, just try and capture like
Good old-fashioned
moments.
BTS.
Instead of going, hey, come to the show, we're playing here. It doesn't feel comfortable doing it either. Do you know what I mean? But you kind of have to like play some sort of game. But yeah,
It's like anything, the first couple times you do it, you're uncomfortable with it. You start a podcast, you're like, what am I gonna say? You're nervous, and you do it a couple times. You're like, oh, we'll just talk about anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a whole journey out there. But I think consistency is really important.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's just making sure that we, posting stuff every day. Like we were in Aspen last week or Park City, wherever it was, and we haven't done IG Live for ages, and we just literally jumped on, and it weirdly worked. So we're like, maybe there's something in there. Maybe just doing that, just giving it a glimpse into kind of actually what we do, because a lot of our stuff is, recaps and shows and pictures, and it's cool, but they don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And also, like, remember that time, and I think people still do it, but the breakdown of a song, like.
Yeah, I think adding value
Yeah.
is like good.
Like some people like that, but people like the 90% of people who are in the crowd not going to worry about your kick drum and what your EQ is. They just want to feel good in the music.
Yeah,
So
you can still do it, but it's for a very niche, like producer talk. You know what I'm saying? People that are like, you may be a little bit younger, getting into music for the first time. They're thirsty for that knowledge. Remember I was saying that at the time when I was producing, there was only Reddit forums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that kind of era.
I will say like things like that though, they might be more niche, but they might be like more valuable as far as like a fan that really going to be attached to you because of that. You know what I mean? You might only get 1,000 views, but some of those guys are going to be like, oh, I fucking learned a lot from these guys. Like I love them now because
and
I'm
they
going to
spread
come
the
to their
word.
show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to you might get 1 million views on something where people are like, I forget about it in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? So it's like
John Summer with his tutorials on YouTube.
yeah, for sure. It's interesting how that works. We've noticed like we'll have some songs that might get radio play or whatever, but then a song that has a couple million plays or whatever, that's much more just like more of a dance track or whatever else.
Yeah.
People at the shows will be like, play this song, not the one that might be more popular. You know what I mean? The ones that are showing up at the shows. Are the ones
You didn't
like,
play da da da, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you listened to that song?
yeah, exactly. You're like, wait, I didn't even know you knew that. What the hell?
Yeah, we get that with some of our biggest track, like Friends, for example, was probably our biggest track is Only If in terms of numbers, but Friends was like everyone kind of knew that song. And when we go to shows, some people always go, "Why didn't you play Friends? Why didn't you play that? Like we came all this way to see you." You're like,
I want my money back.
Sorry, so sorry. Next time we'll figure something out. Like it's hard, but you can't please everybody. So yeah.
You definitely can't.
Yeah.
But I think too, it's like you realize that each type of valuable piece of content, whether it's a music or a podcast or a tutorial, they're meant for a different person. Like a different
Specific
type of
niche,
person.
yeah.
Because we do a lot of
True.
club shows. We might do a festival, but we've done live shows as well. And it's like, you notice there's going to be a different crowd that's coming to each of those shows.
Yeah.
What do you
very
guys
true.
prefer to do, the DJ stuff or the live stuff?
Man, we did the live stuff a little bit,
A lot more
but
pressure, the last stuff. A lot more
yeah.
work too. So much more preparation.
It is.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's definitely rewarding when it goes well.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't go well, it's like, what the hell were we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I
Why
mean?
do that?
It is.
You
I
know,
mean,
We've had some issues as well, though. Like, if we've got some tracks or stems playing through Ableton, and then it just like stops midway, or it starts like sound crunching because it can't handle the CPU, and we look at each other and we're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. You can't,
What do
you
we do?
rely-
You can't get an instrument and just start jamming.
you
and then-
rely on your
Fine, you know
tech
what
guy
I'm saying?
and stuff. We played a show. I think it was like Webster Hall in New York, like a pretty decent venue, and at the time, because now we refined the show, like a lot of it was like through the playback system, so stems and triggering stuff through Ableton and stuff, and you're always at the mercy of like the computer going wrong, and a couple of shows, and literally we're in one part of the song which had luckily a hook chorus that people knew, and it just shut off.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Shut off completely, and so Cam just kept singing.
Just kept singing. Everyone's like,
They kept singing.
yeah.
It came back
Inside,
on.
I'm like, oh my God. Just,
And then we had another
Let's go,
time
just
when it
keep singing.
happened where it
I
went,
thought it was part of the show.
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And then another time
And then it happened again.
happened
That
where
same
it
night.
went double speed, And you're just like, oh, and you have to go, hey guys, we're
Yeah.
experiencing technical difficulties, but we're gonna be right back. Like you just gotta like just own it, like you know what I mean. So now we're just trying to remove a lot of that stuff, and you know that's why we're having. I mean, it's probably another headache having the choreographers and dancers and drumline or whoever we have at these shows to do their part, and us still be able to focus on what we do and going, okay, they might dance out a step here, and you know that's yet to kind of. We've got some rehearsals.
Do the
coming
James
up.
Brown thing where like if the drummer was out of time, he's like $100, and then like that's 50.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Stop
ask
docking
you
people.
about like rehearsals and how much time you have to spend to like really nail it, because we did some live shows, we did the rehearsals, and like especially in LA, I mean it adds up, like the rental spaces.
It's really hard because we were having this conversation the other day. It's like you want to, when it comes to like club sets and stuff, we have kind of like, we'll prepare in terms of the selects for the show. We won't probably do a run through. We just go by how we feel. Like we DJ'd enough, we're comfortable enough to DJ, so we know that. And then we know when to sing certain songs. But when you do your live show and everything's locked and dialed in, if something's not hitting, you can't pivot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're stuck to this kind of program, and you have to really make sure like that what you're delivering is great. But even if you do that, we've done the same set as the same programming, and in one place it'd be amazing, and the other time people be like, you know what's going on. So
I mean, like you said, the cities, like you're like, oh, Seattle, Denver, these cities, they works with
exactly.
your style.
So we just have to be ready. What we have like our our go-tos, a set list and songs, and then we were like, if it's not jamming or whatever, we'll go, okay, let's pivot, let's do a song or whatever it is. So and that just gives us more flexibility to change, because when you're locked in, it's hard. But in saying that, with this breakaway show, because it's our very first one,
you can't communicate that with the dancers. They already got it choreographed.
We gotta make sure this is all kind of locked in, and trust that what we're delivering is going to be like, you know, stellar. So
we usually try and get in like couple rehearsals and run in each of those rehearsals, run through the set 2 to 3 times until we feel confident.
Dope.
Oh
yeah. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on the show. Do you guys want to shout out anything else? I mean, we're excited about the color and the shows you guys got coming up.
Yeah.
And
we're kind of going back to the initial ethos of releasing a song a month, or at least every 2 months or so. We feel like our audience deserves it, and it keeps us on our toes as well. So we're excited to be releasing music more consistently. So people can definitely expect more of that. More songs.
And just shout out to the fans that have been with us from the jump, and there's more to come. And thank you guys for
thanks for having us.
Oh yeah,
coming through.
Appreciate you guys coming on.
Of course.
Cheat Codes Pod, Night Tales, Miami. Catch us on the next one.
See ya.